So hey guys, this is Daniel Rico Strife doing the Thursday vlog. This week it's about going back to school, but at least, no, I'm 24. I already graduated from college, so I'm not going back to school like the rest of you young people, or youngins as Lexi wanted me to say. So I'm not doing a vlog, so bye guys. Yeah, I'm just kidding. I'm doing a vlog, but since I'm doing about my favorite book, since I wasn't there, I wasn't able to record it the time when we did that because I was having some issues. So, my favorite book, my favorite series, #1, would be Dragonlance. This is Dragons of Autumn Twilight, the first one in the series. There's many books in this series by many different authors, but my favorite one is the ones by Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman. They started the series. I consider them the main plot line written by them. Well, not just me, most people do, because they're the ones that started it all, is by them. There are 14 books in the series, 4 trilogies and 2 standalone books. The main characters are called the Heroes of Lance because they're the ones that found these dragon lances, which is used to kill dragons, and they're used to fight against dragons, and they helped forge them, and they did. So the heroes of the lance are Tannis Half-Elfin. He's half elf, half human. He does a lot. His mother was an elf who got raped by a man during a war. So, yes, he went to, the elves don't like humans very much. They think they're better than them, and because he's half-elfin, he has to deal with that. And he's like his war with his human side, and so he leaves his home, his elf home, and goes to travel the world to see what it's like being human. And a lot of his characters dealing with that, mostly his elves back home because that's who he grew up with. But another one is the twins, Caraman and Raceland. They are twins, but they're like complete opposites. Caraman is big, huge, strong, a warrior. He's very nice, smart. He's not too smart. That's Raceland. He's not that smart. He's nice, friendly. While Raceland is a mage, he's weak. When he became a mage, he had this spell. He got cursed with hourglass eyes. So when you look in his eyes, you see hourglasses, and he can see through time. We can't really see through time, but he can. When he looks at people, he sees them aging, and he sees their entire life passing by when he looks at them. When he looks at everything, like plants, animals, everything, he can see their entire lives passing by. And so, like, everything is old and decaying to him. And plus, his body was like ruined to make him always sick and dying, like when he was cursed. So, and Caraman has to take care of him. But he's like smart, wise, selfish, and he'll do anything for ambition, his power. Like, he will step over it. He will do anything to get power. So he does not so nice things. But if someone's like being bullied, or he will help them and stop being bullied, and he helps his companions that he travels with, and they don't trust him because of who he is, but they rely on him a lot for his wisdom and his knowledge. Then there is Riverwind and Gold Moon. They are tribes playing They're plain tribe people. They live in the plain. They ran away. Riverwind found the staff of the gods, and they were chased by the evil dark army of the dead, which I'll get into more about them later. And so they ran away, and because they were being chased by them, their entire tribe died. So they're like the only two left. Well, most of them died. They meet some later, but as far as they know, they're the only ones left. And they do get buried in this book, and like Riverwind's not too trusting of other people. And Goldmoon's becomes a cleric, and she's one of the few clerics because the gods were left the Kryn. They left the planet Kryn, and they were just started coming back in the first book, Autumn Dragons of Untitled, and she's a cleric. She becomes one of the new clerics, and that's why they're being chased because of the staff of the gods that returned. And then there's Flint. Flint is a dwarf. He's the oldest of the group. He's about, I'd say 200-300 years old. It's not really specified his age, but dwarves live a long time. He views the rest of the companions as his kids, because he's like the oldest, and he's grumpy and he always complaining, but he thinks of them as his kids, and it shows in some parts. Then there's Tassahoff, who is a Kender, which are like the mischievous race. They're always curious, not scared of anything, and they steal from anyone. But to them it's not stealing, because to them everything belongs to everyone. So the people Kenders can take from them all the time, and they can take from others, and it's okay because that's just the way the race is. But the other races don't like it so much. Plus they're always up to trouble. The other race think that, but to them it's not that. But he does go through a lot, and he's a true hero, and he's not like just he does help them a lot, and he does some enormous, fantastic, amazing things for Kender, or for anyone. Some of the things he does. And then there's Sturm. He's a knight of Solomnia. The knights used to be looked up upon and considered the heroes of the world, but they've been disgraced, and there's a lot of corruption and things like that going on with the knights. And this bothers Sturm because the knights are his life. Like, his father was a knight, and he spent his whole life to become a knight, and he does eventually become one. Then he dies, but he dies with honor. He's like the only knight with honor, any honor left. Like, there's some good knights though, but they're still involved in the corruption, and they're fighting against each other and all this stuff. But he lives by the code of honor. It's my life, so he's very honorable. And then there's Tika, she's a bar's maid from where she ended up being Caraman's lover. She's a girlfriend, but she's a bar's maid from an inn, and she goes on an adventure with them. And she's not a very good fighter, and she learns how to. She fights by basically banging them on the head, like you would with a frying pan, and that's how she uses the sword. And she gets cuts all over her body because he doesn't know how to use a sword. But she goes on an adventure with them, and then there's Lorana, who's a elf princess. She runs away, chases after Tanis, who they used to be a childhood lover, but then she matures along the way, and she's the one that found the dragon lances and taught people how to use them and things like that. So, but she does grow up a lot. And those are the heroes of the Lance. There's one more who's not a hero of the Lance because she's evil, but she is the brother of Caraman and Raceland. She's her older sister. She is a member of the Dark Knights, which is the evil Queen Takesis. Anyway, the first book is The War of the Lance. It's about these people, the War of the Lance, and they have to go against the Dark Queen and her Dark Knights, and her dragons, and Draconians, which are dragons that, when they were in the egg, evil magic was put on them, so they would become these human-sized dragons. They're like dragon men. They walk on 2 feet, but they're draconians. And these ones are the ones that stop them. They're not like amazing people. They just have a adventure and get caught up in all this, and then they don't want to die, so they save they don't want the knights to win, so they end up saving them. But that just happens that way. And they don't always get along. Like, none of them trust Raceland, and Riverwind doesn't trust any of them first, and yeah. And but they eventually find the Dragon Lances, and they find out there's some good dragons, and that they find the Dragon Orb, which is like an orb made to control the dragons, and they can somewhat control the dragon Draconians because they're part dragon. So that's that. The second trilogy is about Raceland and Karaman, and they Raceland is trying to become the most powerful dark black mage of all time, and he uses time travel and things like that to get what he wants, but he needs to use a good priestess, and she has to be pure of heart to get what he wants. So he manipulates her, and because she's good, she goes along with it because she's a good person, and she helps him. But eventually, when she's no longer needed, he's going to screw her over. And then Karaman, who loves his brother, is like, he's torn apart by this, and he finally realizes that the only choice is to stop Raceland, or because he needs to help the rest of the world. And he wants to save his brother from his corruption too, but he eventually gets tired of helping him, and there were 3 books about that. And the other characters are in it too, but them 2 are the main ones, and Tasselhoff, because he's always been important in the entire one. Then third trilogy is The War of the Souls, which takes place with the next generation like Sturm and Kitiara, Raceland's older sister. They have a child called Steelbright Blade. Carmen and Tika have a son called Palin, and Tanis and Lorana have a son called Gelthus. And Gelthus becomes the leader of the Quellenesti Elves, which is the same elf that Lorana, who's a princess of. And then, it's mostly that have to deal with it. The War of the Souls it's called the War of the Souls because something is stopping the dead from going to the afterlife, so the world of Kryn is overrun by dead people. And also, the world was actually moved to another area, like literally taken from this spot and put in there, and the gods don't know where it is, and they look for it, but there's one god that does, and she takes over, and the god is trying to take over the world, and she uses Mina, a new character, as a priestess, and Mina walks around and is picking up the one god, no idea who the god is, thinks it's a god of good, but it's an evil god. And there's these dragons from all around came in, and they're like monstrous dragons, like they're like 100 times the size of the normal dragons, and they start ruling over to place because they're more powerful than everyone else. So like they take over like Quellenesti, the city of the elves, is taken over by one of them. Then there's the one god who's trying to take over, and there's to have to deal with the souls of the people that don't die, and also the magic is gone because the gods created the magic, and since they didn't know where Kryn was, they couldn't create magic. So the mages didn't have as much dragon magic as they normally did. And then the final trilogy is just about the lost stories, and it's about stories that happens happens during the same time as the War of the Lance. It fills in the blanks kind of thing. And there's 3 books in there, and pretty good. They're all great books. Well, yeah. That's 15 minutes for one series. Another series is The Bones of the Dragon, a new series by Wace Hickman. Basically, it's about a Viking, Skylin, and his gods have been lost by... his gods are losing a fight against the gods of the ogres. And there's another god, Aelin, and these three gods are fighting each other. They're fighting over the Vetkin Torques, which is 5 bones of the 5 dragons of creation, and whoever has control of these bones has control over creation. And so far it's Skyland's gods that have 3 of the bones. They lost 2, one to the ogre gods and one to Aelin, and they're all 3 are fighting each other. But Skyland's does 3, but they're losing the fight because they lost 2 already. And their ships are controlled by dragons. Like, they have a bone priestess who can summon a normal, not the dragon's of creation, just a normal dragon, by using their bone. If they do ritual, it summons a dragon, and it can fly for them, and it also controls their boats. And Skylin is like, he used to be just an 18-year-old having fun, but then he gets caught up in it all, and he becomes the chief of chiefs, like the ruler of an entire people, and then he gets caught as a slave. And this is the first book. The second book is when he gets caught as a slave. This one is when he gets chief of his people, and he finds out about his gods losing the fight, and one of them was killed, and they're weakened, but they're still fighting, and he's the chosen of their gods. So it's a pretty good series. And there's another one by Margaret Wace and Tracy Hickman called the Deathgate Cycle. What it is it takes place in the future of our planet. There was like a huge world war, and from the nuclear remains, there was 2 races that evolved from us humans, the Patron and the Sartan. And they use runes as magic, like they draw symbols, and that's how they use their magic, through the symbols. The Patron draw the symbols on their skin like tattoos, and the Sartan are able to draw it in the air and on the ground and through like that. They're basically pretty similar, but they don't get along. They fight each other. They're at a war. And the Sartan, because they think they're good and the Patron are evil, they divide the world into 4, and they capture the Patrons in a... Come off. So yes. We were talking about the sorry about that. I had to leave for a little bit. We were talking about the Deathgate Cycle. Anyway, the Sartans, when they created the 4 worlds and stuff, the worlds were supposed to be connected by Deathgate. It didn't work out so well, because the Deathgate was closed and the worlds couldn't connect to each other. And so some of the people on some planets died out, and one world died out, the other ones they didn't. And the first 4 books, it's about Hopper going to each of the 4 worlds. One of them, he goes to the Labyrinth, and he's going to go to each 4 worlds to get information on them for his lord, who's the first one to escape from the Labyrinth, and he's trying to help the Patrons take over the world again. But at the end, he changes his mind, because to do what they want, it will have millions of them killed by joining the 4 worlds, is what his lord wants to do. So he goes against his lord in the end, and he becomes friends with Alfred, who is his enemy, the Sartan. And that's that story. Pretty good. 7 books. And that's about it for Margaret Wace. Now we go on to R.A. Salvatore, who wrote this, The Legend of Drizzt. That is Drizzt right there. Sorry. There. Drizzt is about a dark elf who went to... He lives in Zalbaran, which is a city of the Dark Elves. he's a good. The Dark Elves are evil. Like, they don't have a problem killing others. They don't care about anyone but themselves. What's his name? Drizzt leaves his town, and he goes on the surface because Zarbran's underground, and he's not accepted because he's a Dark Elf and everyone hates him and scared of them. Eventually he does become accepted. His best friend become Brenner, a dwarf. Wolfgar and Kata breed 2 humans, and Regis a halfling, and he also has a magical cat that he can summon from the astral plane called Gwenmular. During the story, he's getting chased by Zarbran because their goddess wants him dead because he's the only he escaped from them, and he doesn't want. They want Drizzt dead. So they're after him the entire series, and they come up a few times. And there's other stories besides that. There's there's this crystal that is called the Crystal Shard, and whoever has it becomes very powerful, and they summon demons from another realm, and that happened. And there's also this Artemis Centrari, who's an assassin who's Drizzt's equal in fighting, and like the best fighters from their race, and they become rivals, and they fight a few times, and Artemis is trying to constantly beat Drizzt, and and at that point there's the only reason he has to live is to fight Drizzt, because he's never met anyone who could be as good as him in battle besides Drizzt. And there's 13 of these books, so yeah, pretty good. And another one by R. Salvatore, it's called The Clare Quintet, 1,000 pages. This one is about Kaderli, a priest of Denir. Then there's Danica, who is a monk, and she tries to break metal with her head, but they stop her because they don't want her to die. Then there's 2 dwarves, Pikal and Ivan, they're brothers. And Pikal wants to become a druid, and Ivan's thinks he's crazy for wanting to be a druid, and he's angry. And that's that. And the story's about them 4, and they live in a library where a lot of people from different religions live. And it's basically about the library. The story is about the library versus the castle Trinity, where the main enemy, Alabaster, who's a wizard, lives. And Alabaster creates this potion called the Chaos Curse, and what it does is it makes people's emotions go wild, and causing chaos, and they let it go in the library, and it causes chaos in the library. One of his friends, Rufo, Cataly's best friend, drinks it, and because of that, he let his emotions go, and he becomes a vampire, and he had jealousy of Cataly, so he becomes a monster and tries to kill him. And the same thing happens to the dean of the library, because he becomes jealous of Cataly, because Cataly is the chosen one of his god Danar, and he has abilities far behind the dean Thubicus. He's been trying to get it all his life. And that's basically this book. Yeah. One more book. This is .hack. There's more than one book. There's 6 or 7. There's the manga and novels based on the game, and I own those because I didn't like the game very much. The story is good, but the game's kind of sucked. So I have those novels, and I have these 2 AI busters, which is before the game. It's about a worker in the game, and he busts, and he takes care of vagrant AI, which is not meant to be part of the game. And if you all know who, as Barca and Balmung, they're in here, and it tells them how they become the descendants of Vienna, and it's the first book in the chronologically in the Hack series, and the books by themselves aren't that great, but when compared to everything else, they're all really good. And one more, and then we're done. 25 minutes. This one, it's The Great Book of Amber. 1,000 pages. It's about, well, there's half of it is told by Corwin, the second half is told by Merlin. Merlin is Corwin's son. Corwin is a prince of Amber. Amber is it takes place on Earth, but Amber is not part of Earth. But they live on Earth part of the time. It's a magical place, like where they can control over the shadows and things. And there's this thing called the pattern, which is like the life force of the Amber. Like the pattern is like what decides what Amber is, like the powers, and it's where they get the powers from. And the pattern's being destroyed, and Corwin recreates it in the end. And then there's 5 books. He's in the first 5. There's like 10 books in this one. But the first 5 books, it's Corwin, and at the end he recreates it. And the second 5 is about Merlin, who's not from Amber. He's from another place, which is the enemy of Amber. And we find out about that side of the story. And there's like there's a lot of things to find out. Like, it's a very interesting story. Like, it starts out with Corwin lost his memory, and then it tells you all about his brothers and sisters. He has like 10. There's 9 brothers, I think, and like 3 sisters or so. And the 9 brothers are all fighting to become king of Amber. And the main one is Corwin and Eric, and Eric has like most of the power, and then they fight against each other. And like Corwin actually loses his eyes. Like, their eyes are taken out and they grow back, so they can regenerate like that. The 10 princes. And they can talk to each other through these thing called trump cards. And they just look at the people on the card, and whoever that person is will talk. They can talk to them that way. And they can transport themselves between the cards. It's pretty good. The second one is Merlin. He has his friend Luke, and he used to be his friend. Then he finds out that he's been trying to kill him, and he finds out why, and it wants to kill him. And then these things that happen in his real life, that like on Earth, that he didn't know was part of the Amber world. He finds out that they were. So yeah, this book is really pretty good too. But Dragonlance is the one you should read if you choose one. The 3 of the 4 trilogies are, you can buy them all in one book for $17, which, since they're all like $10 each anyway. They're $8 Canadian, $11 Canadian, like $9 US. But yeah, so it's $17 Canadian for the 3 books in the trilogy for all. For this one, the one with the 2 twins. This one's Dragonlance Chronicles, Dragonlance Legends of the One with the Twins, and the 3rd one with the War of the Souls. That one can be bought in the trilogy as well. So all 3 of them can so far. Then the 4th one will probably be eventually, the 4th trilogy will probably be made by this one as well. So yeah, 8 minutes and a half. I've talked enough. Bye guys. And see you next Thursday.